Joining me now is Sir Michael Fabricant, the MP for Lichfield. You might remember that Lichfield was set to be a key part in the HS2 connection to the north. Afternoon to you, Michael.
Hi, Trish. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks for asking. I hope you are too.
I am.
Oh, okay. What do you make of this news? You were never really a fan, were you, of the HS2 project?
No, I mean, it was very good when it was originally proposed back in the 90s, and then it all got changed, dare I say, by the then Labour government, and the Conservative government stupidly carried on with the same plan. But look, I think that what Andy Street and Andy Burnham are suggesting is a good idea, not having a parallel line, because frankly, that'll cost the same amount as HS2. But improving the West Coast Main Line is a very good idea north of Lichfield. So just to explain that the line goes into Birmingham, then out of Birmingham, this is all coming down from London, and then gets to Handsacre, just north of Lichfield in my constituency, and that's where it joins the West Coast Main Line. Now, one of the reasons for HS2 in the first place was because there's heavy congestion on the West Coast Main Line, but that's mainly between Birmingham and London. The bit between Birmingham and Manchester is less congested, but there are pinch points. And I do agree that just doing nothing really isn't an option. So there do need to be little things being done on the route to make sure that the trains go quickly. And don't forget, there's nothing to stop high-speed trains running at almost high speed on the West Coast Main Line, providing they've got sufficient tracks there.
Well, you know, Michael, the original concept got so bogged down. Why won't this?
Well, hopefully there'll be somebody, not HS2 Limited, which I might say is one of the most dysfunctional organisations imaginable.
Michael, they're not here to defend themselves.
You ask my constituents. Some of them are saying, we want our land back and we never got paid for it in the first place because all their finances. You know what? I think even the government is saying that HS2 is dysfunctional. And as the government owns HS2, I think we could do that quite legitimately.
Well, you know, Michael, we're the BBC. We have to be impartial as much as we can. But here's a really interesting question. Would this put the West Midlands Mayor Andy Street, of course, at odds with Rishi Sunak? Because, you know, he can get a project to work that Rishi Sunak couldn't.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because, of course, Andy and Rishi Sunak were at it, hammer and tongs at the Conservative Party conference in Manchester. But, you know, I guess that's really what the mayor should be doing. He should be standing up for his region against national government, even if it's Rishi Sunak and the Conservatives. And Andy, of course, does that very, very well. But will it actually show? I don't think the idea is that Andy Street and Andy Burnham will actually be running this new line. I think they're going to work with Network Rail and try and see whether there can be funding made available to ensure that, as I say, there's no pinch points on the line between Birmingham or even Handsacre, actually, between Handsacre and Manchester. It'll be great for Lichfield too, by the way, because it'll mean quicker connections up to Manchester and the north, which good in all ways.
Absolutely, we all want that. But
we've also, sorry to interrupt you, Trish, but one of the things we've got to fight for in Lichfield is to make sure that going south, we have a railway station for HS2 in Lichfield, because quite frankly, at the moment, it just goes zooming past, not even at high speed, and we don't get any benefit at all.
Absolutely. I think Nuneaton and Leamington may agree with you on that aspect as well. But listen, that's an interesting collab, isn't it? Andy Street, Conservative, and, you know, Andy Burnham, Labour, political allies, potentially, you know, with this deal.
Well, you know, some of the mayors work well together. Maybe it's because they're both called Andy, or maybe it's because they're both pretty businesslike. I used to know Andy Burnham, and, you know, I mean, some people say that Andy Burnham could never get in the Conservative Party because he's too right-wing. I can see why Andy Burnham and Andy Street get on well together. Right. They're great buddies, actually. Not the case with all the mayors, but those two, they know what they need to achieve for both Birmingham and for Manchester.
I can see the matching T-shirts as we speak. The final thing is people listening will be saying...
I love it. It could be a boy band.
This is it. We're hearing Boyzone are reuniting. So, yeah, who knows? The two Andys, definitely. But there's some people listening going, well, look, HS2, waste of time, loads of money wasted. We want the money coming back as, the government pledged. The money could be going back into regions like ours to do, the local infrastructure. What are you doing to make sure, Michael, that we get this money and get it quickly so that we can do these connections?
It's not what I'm doing. It's what Andy Street is doing. And in fact, he's got billions coming in now to extend the tramway, to extend existing rail services. And it's all the HS2 dividend. I was going to say Brexit dividend, but it's certainly the HS2 dividend. And I can tell you that when it comes to Andy Street shouting at the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Andy is very, very good at getting his own way.
Okay, well, listen, we'll leave it there. Thank you, Sir Michael Fabricant, for your insight. I'm just thinking about Andy Burnham now and Andy Street in a boy band. I can't get that image out of my head.
I think that'd be good. I think they'll be the next record you should be playing.
Oh, Lordy. Heaven help us all. Thanks very much, Sir Michael Fabricant.
Take care.
The MP for Lichfield.